You are listening to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where illumination and inspiration is but a click away. With so many genre topics for you on everything that you need to know in life. We celebrate and share the people who have taken the journey before you and who are now here to serve you with their wisdom and their knowledge. The next show coming up is... Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ignite Your Heart and Soul, right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. And I am your host, Sara Troy, and my wonderful guest today, all about kindness, is Randy McNeely. And we're going to be talking about the kindness formula. Is there a formula to kindness? Shouldn't we just be kind to everybody? Yes, the common sense would say yes, but somehow we seem to have forgotten how to be kind. Of course, kindness first starts with ourselves. If we don't know how to be kind to ourselves, how do we know how to project kindness to anyone else? And how far does kindness go? Is it just a smile, opening the door for someone, carrying something for someone, doing a warm gesture, helping somebody out? It's all kindness. In my book, kindness is the key to learning how to love and learning how to share love. If we don't know how to be kind to other people, it's because we don't know how to be kind to ourselves. And if we're not kind to other people, we're just going to continue with a world of hate and disconnect. We need to connect to that heart, need to connect to that kindness. So he is the kindness ambassador. What he has got going here right now is a formula. There's a book, there's a wonderful formula. He's going to be having a TV series. He's really putting his heart and soul out there in kindness because he knows how important it is. And kindness, just one drop in the ocean makes a difference, doesn't it, Randy?
It certainly does. It's like that little drop that ripples out for a long, long time. You see those pictures all the time with somebody has dropped and the ripples going out, and kindness can ripple out through time. I've had those experiences myself. When I was a young boy, young teenager, lacking in self-esteem, I had a chance to type up an agenda for a school student council meeting. And I got there and I was there by myself. And a friend of mine came in, and I had just laid out all the agendas that I had typed up. And she was one of those girls that guys get tongue-tied over. They can't talk because they're so pretty and they're nice, and your tongue feels like it's 3 feet thick, kind of like the tongue toffee in the Harry Potter book. She looked at the agenda, and she not in an unkind way, but she said, "Oh, did you know you misspelled the word miscellaneous?" And I was embarrassed. I was totally embarrassed. And at that point, in my life, there you go. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. Anyway, long story short, she took a look at that agenda, not in an unkind way. She said, did you misspell the word miscellaneous? I was totally embarrassed. I really had low self-esteem at that time, and so this was just something else to whack at that. And I looked at her and I immediately responded. And I said, "Oh, no, I didn't. I guess you think I'm pretty stupid, huh?" That's what I said. I mean, that's how I felt about myself. I felt like I was pretty stupid, and she astounded me. And I still get emotional when I think about it, because she responded and said in 9 simple words something that I've never forgotten. She said, "Oh, no, I don't. I think you're pretty neat." That has stayed with me for 30 something years since then. 35 years it's been. And the reason why that stuck with me is because at the time I had no idea how much I needed to hear someone tell me that they thought I was neat. And that's still rippling through time for me. And I've been able to share that story and touch other people's hearts and help them recognize that exactly what you said. One little drop of kindness can go a long, long way.
It fuels a great deal. I mean, we've got to remember it actually takes 8 positives to undo 1 negative. So if people are being bombarded by negativity all the time, that literally goes into their cellular structure. It's a memory, it starts building up, the walls start going up, and then they become cynical or detached, withdrawn. And that kindness chipping away, and we need more of it. The more we have of it, the more people begin to believe it. And the
Yeah.
fact that she said this when you were young, you were embarrassed, she was beautiful, all of a sudden the misspelt world was the worst thing in the world for you.
Yeah.
I know, no, you're really neat. It's like, what? You think I'm neat? You forget about the misspelled word, where suddenly the confidence is built up. And it's a simple statement. But what it is it's saying, I see you. And
Yeah.
I've just
Yeah.
finished an episode of The Queen. And it's an episode of Prince Charles having to go to Wales to learn how to speak Welsh to do his speech, as he's the King of Prince of Wales.
Yeah.
And it really gave me a different look on Charles. And, he did his speech. He actually inserted some of his own stuff in there where he paid tribute to the Welsh and how they wanted to really preserve their language, etc. And he said to his mother, aren't you going to congratulate me? You're going to thank me? No, you did your duty. And he was saying, but they need a voice. I need a voice. And yet nobody wants to hear your voice. And she said, well, is that the family or is that the country? No one. And I couldn't imagine him saying that to my children, because
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
entitled to a voice. And we
Yeah.
don't understand that the more you dismiss somebody, the
Yeah.
more it's going to push them into other directions. And it can push them into hate. It can push them into withdrawal, retaliation. And we've got to understand that our words create actions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. We live in a time. It's no secret. It's readily broadcast every day. We live in a time when light and love and unity and peace, all the essentials for a stable humanity, really, for a stable society, stable family, whatever, those essentials are being eroded at an
Yes.
exponential rate.
Mm-hmm.
And they're being displaced by a tidal wave of negativity,
Oh.
darkness and hate and divisiveness and contention. All those things are constantly on display. We live in a 24 by 7 by 365 news cycle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're constantly, almost always, not always, because you're seeing interestingly, you're seeing more and more stories on kindness right now, but
Yes.
most of the time we're fed a 24-hour buffet of downer fodder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what happens if you eat enough garbage?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't help having that garbage affect you.
Right.
You
And
can't help.
as far as the news is concerned, they'll add a little nice story at the end, but they've
Yeah.
already started you with all the misery.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
Well.
that nice story is all very nice, but it's not what you remember. you know.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that as amazing as the internet is,
Mm,
as amazing as social media and stuff, because there's a lot of great stuff out there,
absolutely.
but there is so much garbage. And the reason I say that is that there's so many people out there who hide behind usernames.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't put a face with the name. You don't get to talk to them or anything. And they spit the most vitriolic blather, trash, hate,
Judgment. Yeah.
hate,
Yeah.
judgment, unkind, cyberbullying. They spit
Yes.
all that out, saying stuff that they would never say to
Face
your
to face.
face,
Mm-hmm.
face to face.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some of them would. I mean, some people are just jerks that way, but
Yes.
a lot of people that wouldn't do it otherwise. Well, hey, nobody can see me. I'm in my little man
Mm,
cave or my woman cave. I'm in my,
yeah.
I'm in my virtual world, so nobody else can see me. So I'll say what I feel like saying, whatever I want. And
And there's no accountability.
no,
No
there's not.
accountability. How many youngsters have committed suicide from cyberbullying?
Well,
And it's because they haven't got, they can't meet the person that's done this to them. They don't understand why it's being done to them. And you know what I hate the most of that type of thing is how people get onto the bandwagon with the hysteria and then start coming out with the sewage and throwing it even more.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's that mass hysteria that builds up of pitchfork.
It's
And
like a flash mob.
yes,
It's
yes,
like
but
flash mob.
a blood mob, because
Yeah,
they're out for blood. And
yeah.
what does that say about us as human beings, that we would rather tear someone to pieces
Well,
rather than build them up?
that's an interesting thing that you bring up there. How have, if you look at the past, if we learn anything from our history, and not to bring, I don't want to bring World War II up, but you think about it, how was Hitler able to
Mm-hmm.
mobilize 60 million people to back his cause?
Yes.
How was he able to convince the people to, do what they did with the Jews?
Yes.
How and how was he able to do that? He stirred them up to anger.
Yep.
He stirred them up to anger, and he dehumanized the Jewish population. He dehumanized the other people. And so once, oh, they're not human. It's okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to pound. It's okay to hit. It's okay to do whatever you need. It's okay to kill them. That anger, that's the same pattern that's been used throughout history
Mm-hmm.
to stir people up to go to war,
Yes.
to stir people up. And so,
To turn on their neighbor, to turn on their families. You know,
yeah,
rumors. Look at how much rumors do.
oh yeah, yeah. So the question is, okay, so how do we combat that?
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of tools. Love is the greatest tool on
Yes.
the planet.
But
You
you
know,
can't get people from hate to love in one leap.
no, you
That
can't.
there's the
You can't.
process that they need to go through. Yeah.
And there's an easy formula, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to get to now. I can talk a little bit about what I call the kindness givers formula. Most people, there's a lot of people that are kind by instinct. They have the kindness instinct. They're just, they're just that way.
Mm-hmm.
But for the majority of us who are not quite that way, I think I consider myself somewhere in between being that way and needing a bit of work
Mm-hmm.
to be kind. But so what I have done is just put together 4 simple steps for creating a habit of daily intentional kindness. Very easy to learn and very easy to implement. And here they are. I'll spill them out there. Every day when you get up, take a minute to think, I'm going to be a kindness giver today. Make that determination. Just have that in your head. I will be a kindness giver today. If you want to do like I do sometimes, I say, I am kindness. I
Mm-hmm.
give kindness. I I live for kindness. But get that in your head. Take 30 seconds to do it. And then the second step is fairly easy. Take 5 or 10 minutes. Think about who you're going to be with, what you're going to be doing, where you're going to be during the day, and think of potential situations where you could give some kindness. Tell somebody they look nice, smile, or whatever it may be. If you're going to be in a meeting, be ready to listen, have an open mind, open heart, whatever you're going to be doing. If you're driving,
Mm.
drive drive kindly, you know, but take time to think about those situations. And I say potential because, you can't totally plan everything.
Right.
Our days never go the way they're going to.
No.
But then once you've taken time for that, then go throughout your day and have your, what I say, have your kindness antennas raised. Be looking for opportunities to be kind. Don't just wait for them to come to you, but be actively looking for them,
Mm-hmm.
and then act on every kindness opportunity you have that's within reason. You may not be able to do everything, but you can certainly do what you can. And then at the end, after that, the final step is easy. Look, invite and encourage other people to do the same thing. That's it.
Yeah.
Simple, effective, and doable. And the beautiful thing about it, Sarah, is it can be applied at all levels of society. And when I say that, what I mean by that is it applied at the individual level. You were talking about kindness to self earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We have, it starts with us. We have to be
Mm-hmm.
kind to ourselves. Get up and look in the mirror and recognize every person on this planet, everyone has value. We
Mm-hmm.
all have value. And because we're human and we have the ability to choose,
Mm-hmm.
we can choose to make something of ourselves. We can choose to do good things. We can choose to be kind to ourselves. We all spend 100% of the time with ourselves. We
Yes.
can't get away from
No,
ourselves.
we can't. Doesn't matter what you
So,
try and do. You're with you forever. Yeah.
and think about it. Think about how your day goes if you're constantly beating yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly telling yourself, I'm an idiot. Oh, boy, I'm stupid. Oh, it's like we were talking about before. You get a constant 24-hour diet of downer fodder like
Mm-hmm.
that, and how many people are going to want to be around you?
Right.
You
Right.
know, and how are you going to influence people? Everybody's going to turn, and every time they see you, they're going to be, oh man, there comes Randy. Jeez, you know.
Yeah, exactly. How can we avoid him? Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so learn to be kind to yourself. It starts there. So at the individual level, you can use the kindness givers formula. You can think of ways that you're unkind to yourself and think, you know, what triggers that? What can I do to change that? How can I be different? And start, you know, working on that and go through the formula for yourself.
Mhm.
And then think about it at the family level.
Mhm.
It can be used at the family level. It can be used in the neighborhood. You know, it can be used in the community. It can be used at the national level. It can be used at
Yes.
the world level. That
Yes.
formula works at all those stages. And here's the other thing that is beautiful about this formula, and it's going to be in my next book, The Economics of Kindness. Kindness is the greatest untapped economic power on the planet. I will argue that till the cows come home.
Love and kindness is the best currency we have.
It is.
Mhm.
It absolutely is. You think
It's the
about
true
this.
enrichment.
Well, and if let's say you're an organization, you're a business.
Mhm.
You're in business, Sarah.
Mhm.
This is a business for you,
This is a business.
right? If I, in our pre-interview, had treated you like a jerk,
You wouldn't be on.
we wouldn't be talking right now, right?
Exactly.
We wouldn't be talking. You know, when people know you, like you, and they feel like they can trust
Mhm.
you, what happens? They want to be with you. If you're an organization and you create a kind culture, you have a culture where your employees know when I go into work, I'm going to be appreciated. They look for people, they hire people who treat people with respect,
Right.
treat people who lift and build. Now, some people tell me, oh, you're just arguing for like utopia in a business. No, I totally understand that people are human,
Yes.
that there are going to be challenges, but you can constantly be looking for the kinder option whenever you have those challenges.
And why can't we strive for the utopia? We know that
We
you're not,
should.
we may get utopia moments. I know
Yeah,
it's unrealistic that we're going to be there all the time, but then once we get a taste of that moment, we go, oh, this really tastes good. We must do this more often.
well,
So why do we cap ourselves and say, well, we can't have that? We can if we strive for it.
we should be working towards it all the time. And you think
Mm.
about, you get the kind culture. What is that going to do for employee happiness? What's it going to do? If you have a culture that's kind, the automatic, naturally flowing result from that is happier people working there,
More loyal people too.
more loyal people too.
They
Kindness
feel
and
respected.
happiness are
They
like
feel
horse
heard.
and a carriage.
Yes, yes,
Love and marriage. You can't have one
yes.
without the other. You know,
You
you can't.
shouldn't have one without the other.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, yeah, yeah. Okay, we won't go there. But kindness and happiness are inextricably connected.
Mhm.
You know, you can't be a kind person and not be happier. You just can't. And you
The
can't be happy without being kind.
the thing is about kindness, just even making someone smile.
Yeah.
You're going for a coffee and the barista is having a hard day. Maybe the machine's playing
Yeah.
out. The lineup has been out the door. People have been grumpy. And how's your day today? How are you doing? Oh, bad day? I hope it gets better. The thing is, you have acknowledged them. How
Yeah.
many people go through life unseen?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
treated by numbers most of the time.
Yeah.
A file
Yeah.
number, this number, that number. And
You're a number among the herd. You're just a number.
exactly, exactly. And from being a counselor for so many years, one of the things I know that is a common denominator amongst most people is the forgotten child, the child unheard, unseen,
Yeah.
and listened to, the child that felt neglected or never encouraged, always was meant to live up to somebody else's expectation and not follow their own dream, not have that water,
Not allowed to be themselves. Not
not allowed
allowed
to be
to.
themselves.
Yeah.
Conform, conform, conform.
Yeah.
And when you've
Child should
got
be heard and not seen.
exactly, and we talk about that statement, but it's still very much happening. And the
Yeah.
thing is, when you've got people cyberbullying, people that hide behind and that are spitting out such sewage, it is their own discontent that they are sharing, their
Yeah.
own brokenness that they're sharing. And
Yeah.
instead of going, oh, I know what you're going through, let's heal together, I want to break you too so you feel as miserable as I do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we drop that kindness constantly, drip, drip, drip into them, and instead of retaliation back to them, you jerk, you this, you that, a drop of kindness I'm sorry you feel that way. What makes you feel that way?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
engage in a way that, and some people you're never going to get the unjerkness, that they just become too much of a jerk, they're not going to change. But other people go, oh, but most of the time people don't follow me anymore or retaliate on me. This person wants to know why, or wants to know more. Maybe I can
Yeah.
open that door. And we don't realize how much of just paying attention to each other as a human being, as a person with a heart, a soul, a spirit, dreams, insecurities, how far it goes of just being seen and being heard. That
Yeah.
is a massive
Yeah.
kindness, I think.
Well, it is. It is. And you think about it like, going back to just a little bit about a business, but this is can be applied at an individual. Again, all those levels.
Yes,
If you have a happier group of people working for you, what's gonna be the natural result from that? They're gonna want to work harder. They're gonna
yes,
feel more loyalty,
hmm,
and what's gonna happen to their productivity?
yes,
It's gonna go up.
yes.
And so when you have happier employee, kind culture, happier employees, higher productivity, how are your customers going to feel about that? Because they're going to have greater ability to add value to those customers, their capabilities, and so you're going to have greater value add with the customers. Customers are going to be happier.
They're going to come back to you. They're going to be
And
loyal to you. The ripple effect has
exactly.
gone out.
So you're going to have greater opportunities,
Yes, to
increased
grow.
opportunities, and what's going to happen to the prosperity of the organization? It's going to increase.
What's the best thing an organization can have? A positive referral.
Exactly.
A negative
Exactly.
referral can be so much more damning. A positive referral, I used them and they did this. I
Yep.
love the way they treated me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I had a mechanic when I lived in Colorado. His name was Eddie. I don't remember Eddie's last name anymore, but I lived in Aurora, and Eddie had been in business for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. He's a mechanic. And I asked him, so how do you advertise? He said, I've never spent a dollar on advertising. I said, well, how's that? And he says, it's because I don't have to. People just tell people about me, and
Mhm.
and it was true. I mean, I must have referred 300 or 400 people to him.
Yes.
I'm literally
Yes.
everybody I knew anybody I ever heard say they needed a mechanic or whatever. Oh, you need to go to Eddie. He was constantly packed though. I mean, sometimes it was a good thing. And then he says, sometimes I wish I didn't have so many referrals,
But,
but
but but also, wouldn't you trust somebody when somebody says, I went to this person and gave me great service, and let's bottom line it is whatever they're doing for you, you want them to do well. But the
yeah,
way they treat you, the service they give you, is what's going to make you go back. So when
yeah,
somebody says something good about you, you're going to get referred, and vice versa. When you say something, I'm going to trust what somebody else says, a friend says, because they
yeah,
had a good experience. Then I'm going to trust the Yellow Pages.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I
it's one
mean,
of
you're
the
going to
reasons.
trust
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
I don't ever look at the yellow pages. Whenever I'm
I don't mean
looking for
they're
some
around
kind of
anymore anyway.
when I'm looking for a major service, I always find a friend that somebody,
Yes,
hey, do you have anybody you can recommend for this,
yes.
or that can, that does this, that does this, or whatever, because I'm always going to trust them more.
I mean, this is
So
the reason why I do these shows. It's for people to be enlightened. I
yeah,
believe that inspiration is invitation, because if you're
yeah,
inspired by somebody, you're invited to take action in
yeah,
your own life. But
yeah,
it's also for people who go, I really liked that person, what they had to say. I want to reach out to them for their service. So
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
just like, Google app or this or that, it's like I can actually listen to this person and know whether it's a person that can serve me or not. I resonate
sure,
with them. And
sure,
yeah, there may be a little longer that you're going to be listening than it would be on a quick finger on a map, but you feel like you know the person already, right?
yeah, 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 and it's a comfortable feeling,
Yes.
and you can't help wanting to listen to it. Oh wow, that was
Yeah.
pretty good. What else do they have to say? I
Yeah.
have found that as I've been talking about kindness, I'm making more and more connections from people all over the world. It's
Hmm.
not just because kindness is a global thing. It has global appeal. I'll put it that way. Everybody wants to have kindness. I mean, it's a part of being human.
It's in our
And so
bloodstream. Kindness
it is,
is
it
there.
is,
Yeah.
and it doesn't know any language
No.
barriers. It doesn't,
No.
I wrote a song and recorded it with my daughters a few years ago called Everybody Speak Smile. I talked to you a little bit about that the other
Mm,
day when we were
mm.
talking.
I'm
And
hoping we can play it as we go out if you've got the
uh,
MP3 on it.
I have the MP3, but it still has the word Bombay instead of Mumbai in
Oh,
there.
that doesn't matter.
I'll send it to you.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
I will
We'll
send it
finish
to
the
you.
show off with it.
Yeah, yeah, but it's the reason it's Everybody Speaks Smile, and the whole premise behind it is that smiles don't know any barriers.
No,
Smiles know no language barriers. So everybody speaks smile.
no.
Everybody understands it. And it's the same thing, kindness. Everybody understands kindness. They do. And it doesn't matter where you go. And the thing, there's so many different ways we can have an impact on people. I mean, you were talking about the coffee shop or
Hmm.
the barista or whatever. Yes, I just had a friend of mine on LinkedIn tag me on a post about an experience she had yesterday. She was at Starbucks. She went there and she could tell that she could see this lady next to her just quietly sobbing,
Hmm.
and she was able to reach out and just put a hand on her shoulder and say, "Hey, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you?" And the lady shared that she had after being employed at this place for 32 years, she had just lost her job.
Wow.
And
No kindness there.
no, no, well, but yeah, no kindness there. But at least she had, my friend was able to,
Yeah.
comfort her, and she came away, she paid her tab too. She
Mm.
paid for, and it was able to at least help her know that somebody cared
Yes.
and somebody was willing to listen. And she doesn't, that was the end of the story for my friend. She has no idea how much that might have impacted that person.
We don't
Yeah.
actually underestimate how utterly kind and caring a hug is.
Oh
And the
yeah.
hug can be a physical hug, it can be a virtual hug.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just taking people into your arms, like a
Yeah.
child would take, a mum,
Yeah.
we would take a child into our bosom, it's
Yeah.
comfort. It's a place where I've got you. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's all people need to know is I've got you. And out
Yeah.
from that comes strength, comes your
Yeah.
own strength. It fortifies you because someone's got you. You're not alone. And isn't loneliness one of the biggest killers out there? And I don't
Well,
mean loneliness just living alone, but feeling alone in life.
it can be among a whole bunch of people and still feel
Yes.
lonely,
Oh,
you
done
know?
many articles on that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and here's another thing to think about, and we don't think about this enough. How many, we know that there's a rise in violence.
Mm,
We know that there's a rise in suicide.
mm,
We know that there's a rise in opioids and all these other things. What are those symptoms of? They're symptoms of what I talked about earlier, about the darkness, the negativity, the hate that is
mm,
rising. We're, and I put a term for that. It's called societal climate change.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
We talk about physical climate change all the time.
mm,
We don't ever hear about societal climate change, but that's what I'm talking about. And it's far more dangerous right now for us than, we're worried about what might happen with physical climate change. With societal climate change, we're seeing what's happening.
yes.
We're seeing it right now.
Yeah.
We're seeing it all around us, and we're seeing the results, and it's not good. And so here's the thing that we need to think about is, and we'll never know the answer to this, how many of those suicides, how many gun shots, how many drug users maybe could have been prevented
Mm-hmm.
if someone had been kind to that person?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Columbine
Yeah.
massacre back in 19, or was it 2000 or
No, no.
1999?
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
1999, something like that. Or maybe it was 1990. I don't remember. No, it was 99. Anyway, I asked that question, throw out that thought about being able to prevent something. One of the killers was in the library. One of those young men was in the library, and he saw somebody on their table. Says, "Who's under there?" Yelled at him to come out and show yourself. The young man that was under the table knew the kid who had the gun. And he came out And he says to him, what are you going to do with me? You're going to shoot me? You're going to kill me too? And the kid, the I can't remember which one of them was. If it was Dylan Klebold or the other young men, but he said, "No, John, run, run, run now."
Mm.
And he ran. And after that, this kid John thought, he racked his brain. Why did he let me go? Well, first thing he asked, he said, "What are you guys doing?" "Oh, we're just shooting people."
Mm-hmm.
And then he says, "Were you going to shoot me too?" And then he says, "No, John, run, run now." And he couldn't figure out. He said the only thing he could think of is the reason why he let him go is because he had been kind to him.
Right.
He had been nice to him.
Yeah.
He hadn't treated him in the way that other people had treated him. He hadn't bullied him. Now, that saved one life. How many other lives might have been saved? You know what I'm saying?
I think one of the big problems we have, oh, don't tell me I have enough problems of my own. Well, if you got with someone and you each shared your problems, those problems are halved. It's like, oh, you've got this problem. I know somebody, or how about you do this? Or, I'm there for you. We think that we have to keep our problems to ourselves, and then it manifests in a way of bitterness and hate, and I just gotta hurt somebody because I'm
Yeah.
hurting. If we share those problems, and if we are less resistance to hearing other people's problems,
Yeah.
right? Because,
Yeah.
oh God, I got enough on my own plate. Well, when you actually give kindness and time, one of the big, big words is time here. I don't have time for kindness. Yes, you do. Every single moment of the day, you can be kind to someone in a gesture, in a look, in a
Yeah.
tone of voice, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
giving somebody the time to hear them,
Yeah.
even if it's just
Yeah.
a moan and a gripe, they need to get it off their
Yeah.
chest. They feel they've been heard. Oh, thank you for being kind. Thank you for listening to me. Instead of that bottling up in them and becoming a dialogue that they can no longer deal with, and where they go and then take actions
Yeah.
that are destructive, you've given away somebody to release because
Yeah.
you were prepared to listen and give them the time. That is a big act of kindness, and one we need to be less selfish with and do more of.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, you just, interestingly, you talking about that triggered another thought about another story. Mind if I share it?
Please
Another.
go ahead. That's what it's all
I,
about.
I was, I've been blessed to have a chance to talk to some of my LinkedIn connections directly. They've reached out and said, "Hey, would you be open to a phone call?" Or I've reached out to them.
This is how we met.
And yeah, exactly. And there was this one lady that I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, I would just love to have a conversation with you," because I could tell that kindness was in her wheelhouse. and
Mm,
and so we ended up talking, and we, I says, "Would you be open to sharing some stories with me?" Because she started talking about all these different things. I was like, "Okay, we need to get together for an hour on Zoom and just record it, and you can tell me stories." And so she did, and I'm not going to say her name. She knows who she is, and she'll know who I'm talking about when I when I share this. But one story she told me was about, as a teenager, she went with a group of kids to work at a Bible camp for 5 days, and this was I think it was in Rhode Island, and and she put it this way: is that the neighborhood that they were going into was not what she was used to seeing. It was different, quite a bit different from where she was from, and I believe it was in Philadelphia. And she said, it would have been easy for me to judge,
mm,
but she said, and I was 15, would have been easy for me to judge. She says, but I was there to serve. I was there to be part of a Bible camp. I was there to be a counselor. And so I didn't let what was around me bother me. I didn't let it, I didn't think about it. I wanted to help these kids. And so she's the kind of person that likes a challenge. And there were these two young men that were twins that were like night and day different. One of them, every other word out of his mouth was a swear word. I mean, he was cussing, cursing, and he was cursing at everybody. And the other one, I mean, his twin brother was like totally opposite. I mean, just totally quiet, congenial, calm, cool kid. And nobody, everybody was nobody was excited about having these two boys, in their group. And so this lady says, "Well, I'll take them." She likes to figure out what makes people tick and why they
Mm-hmm.
act the way they act.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, and this is when she's 15 years old, and she's got these two young boys. And she said after a couple the couple days, I mean, she was just frustrated one morning, and she says, "Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to make you a deal." She said, "I don't like being angry with you, and I don't like the way that you're treating me. So we're going to make a deal. If you start swearing and saying unkind things, you're going to go sit on that stump. There's this big stump," she says, out in the middle of the field. You're going to go sit on that stump. And if I react angrily to you, if I get upset or anger, or act angry, I'm going to go sit on the stump. Well, she says, within a couple minutes, they were both sitting on the stump. But it was interesting. She says, I said, I asked him, I says, "Why do you act the way you do? Why do you curse at people and swear at people? Why do you do?" So I'm just angry. He says, "Well, what are you angry about?" "I'm angry at the world." And he says, "Well, why are you angry at the world?" "Because my mom's on drugs. She gave us to our grandma. She wouldn't take care of us. She can barely, I mean, my grandma barely can take care of us. He says, I'm just angry." And so she sat there and listened to him. She listened to him talk about those things, and she didn't judge him.
Mm-hmm.
And and she told me a couple other things I don't remember for sure. But anyway, long story short, that stump started, instead of being a place of punishment,
Right.
it became a place where they came together and
Mm-hmm.
they would talk.
Mm-hmm.
They would talk about life
Mm-hmm.
and about what was going on, and how maybe if he treated people a little bit differently, that his life might be a little better
Yeah.
if he was kinder. Well, at the end of the week, they had an awards night, and an awards night. They had to do some skits. These groups did some skits, and they did some awards, and they got all done. And at the end, this little boy runs up there and says, "Can I make an announcement?" And she's sitting there thinking, "Oh, great, potty mouth boy is up
Yeah.
there." No, but he didn't swear or anything. He says, "Could so and so please come up to the front here?" And so my friend went up to the front, and he said, "I want to give you this friendship bracelet that I made." Says, "And I want to thank you for caring."
Mm-hmm.
That touches my heart.
Oh, God touches
And
my.
think,
Mm.
you know, here's this little boy, this angry little boy. And by the end of the week, because she was willing to hear and
Yes.
to listen, he totally changed. And his grandmother was there with, I guess, a cousin or somebody. And my friend says, "Yeah, his grandma just came up and gave me a big hug." She says, "I don't know what you did, but thank you." You know?
That goes back to my point of being willing to listen. We carry
Yeah,
wounds around. Things happen to us. And as a child, we don't know why they're happening, but it's an automatic thing that we get guilty about it. I must have caused it. Parents
yeah,
divorce. I
yeah,
must have caused it. Mummy and dad are fighting. I must have caused it. We take
yeah.
on that guilt trip. And we don't realize that just explaining or allowing someone, nothing is too stupid. This is the thing, like right in the beginning, you talk about you felt
Yeah.
stupid because you missed the letter out of a word. But why are we constantly made to feel stupid over something? Nothing is too stupid. I mean, if it is, God, that's stupid. Why did I feel that way? Lighten
Case in
up about
point,
it. Lighten up about it. Laughter is a wonderful healer.
it is.
And it's
It is.
okay if we laugh at ourselves or laugh at each other sometimes and go, God, you got your knickers in a twist over that one, didn't you, love? You know?
Well, it's a case in point. I put this meme out on LinkedIn yesterday about leadership, and I got all these comments on it, and it had been out there for like 3 hours. And finally, this one lady says, "Well, isn't success spelled this way?" So I still misspell words.
I'm
I
dyslexic.
spelled it. I spelled it SUCSESS instead of SUCCESS.
Yeah, no, I'm dyslexic. My letters are always going in the wrong way. And, as I pointed out to somebody one time, if you're so bothered by the spelling, you're going to miss the meaning of the content.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You're going to miss the point.
Exactly. And, there are some professionals out there that have people professionally writing for them that still make faux pas. Let's not focus on the faux pas. Let's focus on what it's trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I mean, you talk about, being able to laugh at ourselves this morning. After I saw her thing last night, I got up and I made a new meme, and I just, I went into the same post because you can't change a picture out once you've put it in there. But I just, in the comments, I said, one of my commenters kindly pointed out that I misspelled the word success. Oops.
Yes, exactly.
That's all I
Own
said.
it. Yes.
Here's a corrected version of the meme.
But that's humanizing something. It's like this whole need to be perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, if I'm not perfect, people are going to think less of me.
Well,
If I don't do this right, nobody's going to like me. Balderdash.
Yeah.
If people like who you are for what you do, I have a new saying. It's activism is great, but actionism is better.
Exactly.
Right? And so it's what you do, and if you can laugh at yourself. I used to take things seriously because I felt guilty and I felt stupid because I do have dyslexia. And I have an academic family. And so, of course, I'm not an academic person in any shape or form. And so it was always under that scrutiny that, you're non-academic. And I thought being non-academic meant you weren't intelligent. Well, intelligence comes in so many different ways. Intuitive intelligence and, worldly intelligence, experience intelligence. It's not all book intelligence. Yeah. And what I've learned now, doesn't matter how much knowledge you have in your head. When you connect to your heart, your soul, and your spirit, you'll understand the wisdom of your knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's the importance. It's not knowledge for knowledge's sake. It's the wisdom and understanding what that knowledge means to you and how you can use it.
Yep. Well, and a great way to be kind to ourselves is to work hard to overcome perfectionism, because
I think perfectionism is being imperfect.
None of us are perfect, and all we can do is do the best we can.
Exactly.
And learn.
When you look at a diamond that's imperfect, it's worth more.
Yeah.
Why can't we be the imperfect diamond?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That makes us unique. That makes us us.
Yep.
Right? Why do we constantly go around apologizing for ourselves? For what?
And we don't need to.
We don't need to. That's where that kindness comes first.
I used to take myself way too seriously. I still do to a point, but I'm learning to laugh a lot more at myself. Well, here's the other thing that for me, and maybe I'm laying myself out here, and I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable. But that's okay.
Vulnerability is a great gift.
When I have struggled with self-esteem for a long time. Like I said, I'm my own worst critic. I'm a lot harder on myself than anybody else is.
Yeah.
One of the beautiful things about this formula for me is I am branding myself as the kindness giver. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to be the kindness giver, I have to be the kindness giver. And I use the formula.
Yes.
And I use it on myself. Mm-hmm. And I like me a lot better.
Exactly.
I'm realizing that, I'm okay.
Yes.
It's not being self-aggrandizing to say, to feel like I'm okay, I have value, I have worth, and I don't have to get my worth from other people validating me.
Precisely. It's the importance of you, not your self-importance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Self-importance is the ego-driven, but the importance of you is placing value on you. And only you really know your value.
Yeah. Excuse me for man. I'm yawning. I wish you could cut that out.
So it caught me speaking.
um,
Um, but yeah, I mean, that don't we all battle with that self-esteem? And I call that societal expectation. We've been brought up that we have got to be. You should. You've got to be. You're only worth something if you're this. You're only worth something if you're earning that much, or
yeah,
if you have that title. Again, balderdash to all of that. You know,
yeah,
your contribution has got nothing to do with money. Your contribution has got nothing to do with fame and fortune. Your contribution to the world comes from the heart,
yeah,
comes from the
yeah.
intent, comes from the soul. And giving a bucket of kindness to people, because that lights up your heart when you see it lighting up other people's heart, is worth any bucket of gold anytime.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't trade the sweet experiences I've had
Mm-hmm.
by giving kindness for anything.
No.
I mean, I've been blessed to be in positions where I've been able to do simple things, just simple things that have made a big difference to somebody. And not saying that to hold myself up as light, because I'm not, but I'm grateful for the blessing I've had to be in those positions. And I
Yes.
wouldn't trade them for anything. I had an opportunity a few years ago. I was traveled a lot. And, I came into an airport and sat down in the waiting area. I'm sitting in the lobby area, in the waiting area, waiting for the plane to get there. And a gentleman came in, big, tall guy, probably 6'4", 6'5", big, tall guy, had a brace on his leg. And he had just had knee replacement surgery not too long before that. And here he was going to be getting on a plane with the knee brace on, sitting in the economy seats. He's 6'5". Now you tell
Legs
me
over the seat in
how
front of him.
I was sitting there thinking, are they going to melt you and pour you into
Yeah.
that seat? Or,
Yes.
I mean,
It's for
it's
midgets, not for
it's
tall people.
well, I had enough points because I'd been flying enough that I had been upgraded to first class,
Oh,
and so I went to the stewardess and I said, listen, I don't like the economy seats more than anybody else does, really. But I said, I'm more than happy. I'm going to be a lot more comfortable back there than this gentleman is. Is it possible for us to change seats, for me to change seats? Oh, no, no, we can't do that. And I finally had to, I said, listen, I can't remember if I had to get a manager or something like that. I said, listen, I have been a loyal customer with you guys for a long time. I've been flying with you. I spent a lot of money on your airlines, and I know that you guys like your reputation,
mm-hmm.
and I've stayed with you because you've been good to me. I want to keep having those good feelings. Would you be willing to let me do this? This man, I just trying to help this man out so that his flight home is going to be more comfortable. And the manager said, yeah, we can do that. And we worked it out. They just we had to wait until everybody was seated. And I didn't tell the guy that I was going to switch with him. I didn't say anything to him. Well, maybe I did. I can't remember. I don't think I did. This is in my book, by the way. I'm giving a story in my book, The Kindness Gives Warming. But anyway, I didn't tell. But they ended up, getting everybody seated, and then they made the announcement, just say, "Hey, so and so, could you please come up to the front?" And then we switched. And he sat in first class, and I sat in economy class. And I have to tell you, that was probably the most comfortable economy class ride I've ever had. Not because the size of the seat had
No,
changed,
size me
no, but
heart.
because I felt
Yeah,
good inside.
yeah.
And I wouldn't trade that experience for anything.
And that experience that you gave him, that is
Yeah.
something is going to ripple out. Do you know what somebody did for me? It's not the fact that he was more comfortable in that seat. It was what somebody went out of the way to do for him. And
Yeah.
people share that. That ripples out. It inspires them to be kind to others because it made them feel so good.
Well,
Nobody loses. Everybody wins.
exactly. And that's hey, you just took my the theme from our show out of my mouth. At the very end, where every time we're on our reality TV show, the last words are going to be, remember, with kindness, everybody wins.
Absolutely.
So.
And we need so
The,
much kindness. I mean, we had a talk before of what your TV show is going to be about, where you're going to be interviewing people.
yes.
I don't know if it's random or if you're picking people with their stories, but just doing acts of kindness and seeing how it works with them. But they're not people that are mainstream. You're picking people from the communities.
Well, what we're going to be doing is the show is going to be called Kindness Hunters, and we're actually now people might be concerned about the term hunters, but we're hunting down, looking for stories of people who have had some real challenges, some real difficulties to overcome. They may have had personal tragedies. They may have had a death in their family. They may have had, they may have had an accident where they've become paralyzed themselves, or somebody else they know has been paralyzed, whatever. But they've had these real challenges and difficulties, and they have not allowed those things to crush them.
Right.
But they've faced them and they've triumphed. And they've used those things as a driver for creating organizations that are blessing other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got two purposes. We're going to tell that person's story, and what they went through and the difficulties they've been able to overcome, because that's going to, because that's inspiring.
Yes.
But then we're also going to showcase the organizations and talk about it. Here's the organization they've created, and this is what they're doing. This is how they're giving back. This is how they're paying it forward. And we're going to talk to them about some of the challenges their organizations are facing. What challenges do you have right now? What was it like? What were the challenges you faced in trying to get it set up in the first place?
Right.
What are the things you're doing? What are the challenges you're currently facing? Do you need more money? Which all of them are going to need more money. They'll do. But do you need volunteers? Do you need help with your website? Do you maybe need a new building? Whatever it might be. And we're going to give them a chance to talk about that on the show. But and we're going to engage our audience. We're going to give the audience a chance to, if the story resonates with them, they're going to be able to help out. They're going to be able to donate. They're going to be able to, if they are local to those organizations, we'll have information where they can contact them and find out how they can volunteer, how they can do whatever. If we present 3 or 4 needs on TV, if you're local and you can help, or
yes,
if it's something that can be done remotely, whatever, then reach out to these numbers and contact them. But we're also going to have pre-episode engagement with the local viewing audience. Wherever we go to film, we're not going in there just to film. It's not about us. I mean,
interaction.
We're going there. We're going to set up a service project wherever we go, and we're going to film that.
Yeah.
We're going to invite whoever wants to come in the community, come and help us.
Yeah.
And we're going to film part of that and include it in the episode. And so we've got pre-episode engagement, during the episode engagement, and the opportunity for post-episode engagement. And the whole purpose behind the show is not only we're going to share heartwarming, heartfelt, inspiring stories, but we're also going to give the audience, we're going to invite the audience to take action, to engage.
Yes.
And so it's not just about entertainment, which obviously, if it's not entertaining, people are not going to want to watch, right? But it's about entertaining and motivating action.
Actionism. Yeah.
Actionism.
I like it. Yeah.
Just like you were just talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We're talking about actionism, because, kindness in action is what matters.
Yes.
It's one thing to talk about being kind. My formula is all about taking action.
Yeah. Yeah, we have enough talk. I have a series called the Forgotten Children series, and a podcast book will be coming out in 2020 with it. And each person that we interview contributes a chapter. And I'm just blown away by the people, because of their love of children, because they hate to see children so forgotten, so left behind, that what they're doing, and very often out of their own pocket, Because like, these children have never done arts and crafts before, or these children have never done this, or this child is a foster child and they're going from one place to the other in a plastic bag and they don't have a case. So one of them started comfort cases. And then, what a
Yeah.
foster mom, standing up for the children that need more help and not just passed around. These are people that really have a conviction to
Yeah.
change lives. And like what you're doing, like what
That's
I'm doing,
exactly what I'm trying to
we
do. Yeah. What we're
believe in
trying to
them.
do.
We want people to understand that you can make a difference with them
Yeah.
in making the difference in others' lives. And really, my new platform is called Discovering Communities, and it's about
Yeah.
discovering the communities like yours that are out there celebrating, first and foremost, the
Yeah.
people that are dedicating their lives to whatever cause, supporting them, bringing that spotlight on them, inviting through inspiration for people to be a
Yeah.
part of it and take the actionism. Because we as a society have become so complacent. It's not my problem, not my problem. It's
Yeah.
everybody's problem. If
Well,
something's broken in the society, it's everyone's a problem.
it is. It is. That's exactly why I wrote the Kindness Givers formula.
Mm,
The beautiful thing, that people have told me that they love about my book, it's a mini book. It's
mm,
35 pages.
right.
You can
Simple.
read it. You can read it in less than 45 minutes.
Right.
But it's like the formula. It's simple, but it's powerfully effective. It's got powerful, packed into that small book is a load of information that is useful and practical and easy to implement. And it's got some great stories,
I
just
want to
like the
see that
stories
in
we've been sharing
schools.
here.
Right. I want to see that in schools. I want to see that in government, at Congress.
Oh,
I want to see that in the medical society. I want to see this out in community leaders, because people go into something with an intent and then get caught up. We've really
yeah,
quite only the sewage of things that are going on. And they forget that kindness is the key. And that
yeah,
when we show the kindness, especially as leaders, if our leadership is kind, you get more support in that kindness of getting things
yeah,
done, right?
yeah,
Hate
yep,
begets hate, love begets love, kindness begets
yeah,
kindness. So
yeah.
this book should be out there, especially the fact that it's just a 35 pager. You're not giving them an encyclopedia.
Nope.
It should be one of those little handbooks. So I'm like, oh God, how do I be kind in this situation?
Well, and it should be, and I appreciate that. I I don't say that lightly. I really do feel like I felt inspired when I was writing it.
Mm,
I felt like I was guided in what I said and what
yeah,
I wrote, and I was blessed to I have a beautiful friend of mine, wonderful man, name of Chris Jones, and he is one of the kind of people that I'll be interviewing. He is a
mm,
man. He and his wife. He's got a Facebook page called Mitchell's Journey. He's got over 300,000 or 400,000 followers on there because he shared the story about their journey with their son going through I can't remember what kind of dystrophy it's called now.
muscular dystrophy.
It's not muscular dystrophy, it's a different kind, but anyway, basically his organs start to just shut down.
Mm,
And and so he ended up passing away when he was just 12 years old. And it's all he was kind enough. He's written, so many different blogs about his son and about the kindness that they were given. He allowed me to use 3 of his stories in the end of my book,
mm.
and they're just fantastic. About kindness in action. And
Yes.
I shared three of my personal stories. One of them I just shared with you,
Mm,
about the guy on the plane. Actually, 2 of them. The
yeah.
one about that my friend telling me that I was neat is in there as
Yes.
well. But so the nice thing about the book, it's got practical information, it's got the stories, and it's got a whole, in the back, it's got a summary. Here's the takeaways, major
Mm,
takeaways. Here's the things that you can do and how you can implement this in your life. And I use the analogy of honeybees in there. We talk about, some people have asked me, well, said, oh, I'm just one person. What can I do? What
mhm.
kind of impact
Hell
can
of a
just
lot.
one person have? And I said, well, okay, when you start thinking like that, just think of honeybees. And they're like, what? Like, think of honeybees. An individual honeybee only lives for about 6 to 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But in that 6 to 8 weeks, they travel thousands of miles and visit thousands of flowers, gathering nectar. Also, they can condense it down into honey.
Mm-hmm.
But then think about this. One honeybee only produces 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in their lifetime. That's squat. I mean, that's
Right.
nothing. But that little 1/12 of a teaspoon is vital to the hive's survival. Every honeybee working 20,000 to 60,000 honeybees working together can produce up to anywhere from 80 pounds to 100 pounds of honey in a year. That's vital to our survival because we use honey for everything.
Right.
I mean, honey is a sweetener that's used everywhere.
Yes.
And so, but think about the cumulative collaborative effect of all those
Yes.
bees working together, all that wonderful sweetness that is created. And then think about, what if every day you had hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions or billions of people getting up and saying, I'm going to be a kindness giver today.
What a different world we'll be in.
What the world will
Ah,
change. If people do that, the world would change overnight.
yes.
Would
Oh
change
gosh, yeah.
overnight.
And the thing
And
is that
so
a lot of the discontent that people carry in their own hearts would change,
it
because
would.
we are designed to be purposeful. We are designed, as each one of us in our own self-discovery, discovering what our instrument is. We learn to play
Exactly.
that instrument, to bring it to the orchestra of life, to play that orchestra as a symphony, to invite other people to
Yeah.
discover their own
Yeah.
music. Maybe they're the dancer, maybe they're the orchestra. It doesn't matter what you are. Discover what you are so that you can bring your beautiful gift forward and understand that the ocean isn't made out of one drop. It's trillions upon trillions upon trillions of drops in there. The beach, every tiny little grain of sand is what makes the beach. I
Yeah.
think one of the things we've got to get out of this thinking is that as human beings, we're elite, and the individual is more important. The whole individual who's living in loving and kindness, bringing to their collective humanity, is what will resonate out
Yeah.
that love vibration that
Yeah.
we all are so desperately individually seeking. So we've got
Yeah.
to understand we're
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
together.
We are. We are. And when we get out of ourselves, you
Mm-hmm.
know, not to wax religious, because I'm not gonna go there, but I have some religious leaders that I greatly admire, and one of the leaders I admire, shared about, he went on a mission trip to England when he was a young man, and he got over there, and he'd been there for a little while, and he said, what am I, he thought, what am I doing here? This is a waste of time. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say or listen to me or anything like that. And he wrote a letter home to his father, and just discouraged and depressed. And his father wrote a simple, very, very simple letter back to him. He says, son, forget yourself and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Forget yourself and go to work. When we forget
Yeah.
ourselves, we find ourselves.
But
Honestly.
the thing is also, when the pupil is ready, the teacher will be there. And I've been doing this work, not interviewing, but my spiritual counseling work all my life. I was given the gift of knowingness as a child, and I could see things, and I was counseling as a child. Just one
Yeah.
of those things, the knowledge I needed to give somebody at the time was there. And a lot of what I was designed to do was premature in the way that I was meant to do it, because I had to wait for things like internet and
Yeah.
podcasting and other stuff to catch up. And I've had some individual successes along the road of changing people's lives, not going out to do it, but just having that momentary impact. And the thing is, all we can do is put ourselves out there. And we feel sometimes nothing is having an effect. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, you see one person's effect, and then you realize there's all the other effects that you've had as well. So all we have to do is just keep rippling, keep spending yourself, not
Yeah.
to a point of exhaustion, but spend yourself in that kindness and in that love. And people will pick up on it. People will pick up on the radar. But we've also got to know we've got frequencies of people here and frequencies of people higher. And you've sometimes got to kind of push that frequency down to invite them to rise up.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
just keep on doing. If you go out today and you're kind to someone and that person's grumpy to you and go, well, I tried kindness and it didn't work. I'm sorry, that's
No.
that's not the
And
way
that's
it
going to
goes.
happen.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. Not
Yes.
everybody is receptive to
No.
kindness.
No.
And all you have to, what do you do? And again, it's like you've read my book. But is one of the things that I point out in there. There's going to be some people that just, you can't. It doesn't matter how kindly you treat them. They're not gonna accept it. And so,
Right.
what do? You just say, okay, well, next, and
Yes.
just go. You go on. You
But you,
can't.
you don't know the seeds you've planted, though.
You don't.
Right? That
You
seed can
don't.
start penetrating, it'll be at the back of the mind, and then somehow they're given an opportunity to be kind to someone, and the knee-jerk reaction is to be nasty, but they're, oh God, that person was kind. I wonder if I tried that. So
Yeah.
don't look at anything as a waste of time.
No.
Right?
Kindness is never wasted.
Never.
It's never wasted.
Never.
And I've got, notice I've got my Fred Rogers cardigan on here. And Mr. Rogers was one of my heroes when I was growing up. I used to always watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I love what he says. There's 3 ways to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Be kind, and be kind.
Exactly.
And I can't say it better than that.
Nope. And on that note, how do people get the book? How do they find your site? How do they become a part of this whole beautiful movement?
They can go to www.randymcneely.com.
Can you spell McNeely for people?
Yes, it's McNeely. So Randy, Randy, McNeely.com. And right on the front page, I have a link to my book. You can go straight to Amazon, do a quick search for the Kindness Givers Formula, and it'll pop right up. And it's very reasonably priced. $4 for the ebook, $7 for the $3.95 for the ebook, $6.95 for the paperback. And so that's where they can find that. And then I am on LinkedIn. With my profile is LinkedIn.com/R McNeely, I think, or R McNeely. And I do Kindness Unleashed every Thursday on there, where I'm inviting people to do as many acts of kindness as they can in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to keep track of that every Thursday and break a record each week.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm doing all these other things. And the kindnesshunters.com is out there, but it's parked right now. It's under construction. So
that's okay.
Lots going on.
Yes.
Hey,
yes.
And can I say one more plug?
Please.
If you're an investor out there and kindness is in your wheelhouse, reach out to me at kindnessgiver@randymcneely.com. Because we're looking for investors for our show. It's a great show. I've got a pilot. I'm not a pilot. I've got a sizzle. I got a very generous return on investment. Reach out to us or you can reach me at kindnessgiver@randymcneely.com.
We've got to actually understand we're all in this. I did another series called Let's Get Synced, which was actually talking about our emotional climate around climate change and how we can change that. And I interviewed an awful lot of people from Europe and across, and how they're working with industry, how they're working with governments to put people, planet before profit, and that the profit will come the more you invest in planet and people.
That's the economics of kindness.
It is, absolutely. And the thing is that being kind and understanding to your workforce will want to stay there. So they'll work in order to keep their jobs because they feel validated and they feel that kindness is there. Got to understand, It's a family wherever your workforce is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You have your family at home, you have your family there, and you've got to treat everyone with kindness. And so many people travel with resentment. And we know what it does to us. It causes a hole in our gut. It
Yeah.
hurts. It literally
It
does
does.
hurt.
It does.
And
And it's like carrying a 10-pound or 20-pound stone inside our stomachs.
exactly. And that's weighing you down, or, the coat of past history, what they did to me. Well, you know what? Did. And you don't know
Yeah.
the circumstances of why they did it at the time. Is what they did to you forgivable? Well, you can forgive the person, but not condone the action, right?
Yeah.
The thing
Yeah.
is, if you don't forgive and if you don't choose to be kind, you're the one that's going to get eaten up.
Yeah. It's not going to hurt anybody else.
Yeah, you're the
You
first one.
know, for the longest time, and I mean, I just one more quick thing. I can speak to that. I mean, 'cause personally, my family went through some real challenges, and my father, bless his heart, may he rest in peace. He wasn't the kindest man on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
and he made some serious mistakes, some very serious mistakes. He ended up in prison for it, and you know, I blamed myself for some of his mistakes, like you were talking about earlier,
Yes.
people blaming themselves, and I was angry.
Mm-hmm.
I was angry with him for a long, long time. I had to let it go. I
Yes.
had to, because it wasn't hurting him at all.
No.
Other than the fact that I wouldn't go see him. I didn't want to talk to him. I didn't want to go see him. I didn't want to, and that hurt me.
Yeah.
That was my mistake,
Yeah.
you know. But when I was finally able to forgive him, for me, it took a lot of prayer and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of soul searching, a lot of seeking, a lot of help. I feel like I needed help from heaven. I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
was just my experience.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, after years and some counseling and other things, I was able to let it go and go talk with him and reconcile and forgive. And I can't tell you, that was like a 10,000
Yeah.
pound weight being lifted off my back.
Yes.
It was like coming into the room and flipping on the light switch. The light came on where it had been dark before.
Right.
Because I was letting what had happened in the past and the anger about that hold me hostage,
Yeah.
and you can't do that.
No. We are a product of our upbringing,
Yeah,
but we are our own person, and we have the gift of being able to make our own choices. And we've all got something in our past, and when you actually understand the way they were brought up, you understand how you were brought up. My mum once said to me, "You've brought your kids up the way you wanted to be brought up," which was a lot more hands-on, lots of hugs and kisses. Kids might
yeah,
say smothering, but that's who I am. And the thing is, though, she was brought up in an era where she actually got beaten for asking for a hug. So one has to understand we are a product of how we're brought up, and at some point we need to recognize
we can make different choices.
we can make different choices, but we
Yep.
also don't need to condemn the person for the way they brought us up or what they've done to us, because they've done it based on their information, their knowledge, or where they're at in their life, right?
Yeah.
So forgiveness has to be there. Now, there are people that go out there and hurt for hurt's sake, and they're damaged in a different way, and that's a totally different story, and a lot of
Yeah, we could
narcissistics.
talk another 3 hours about
Go to
those
go to the
situations.
narcissistic sociopath psychopath show.
Yeah,
We cover that there. But
yeah,
the thing is that if we don't turn around and look at people and go, I forgive you for that, we're going to be eaten up. And then that kindness of forgiveness. And
yeah.
I'm now open to having a different relationship.
And see,
It's such a different playing field, isn't it?
it is. Well, and the interesting thing is, you're giving kindness in two directions,
Yeah.
to yourself and to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this has been
Yes.
wonderful,
It
Sarah.
has been wonderful. Thank you, Randy. The bottom line is that kindness is one of the best medicines you can give yourself and you can give to someone else.
Yeah,
Kindness covers caring, it covers love, it covers consideration, it covers respect. It is one of those things that when you give an act of kindness to someone, it says, I see you, I hear, I care. And that is what we all are looking for in life. Do you
Yep.
see me? Yes, I see you. I'm here for you. And that's what kindness does.
Exactly. And that's how, by treating each person, taking the time to treat the people around them
Yeah,
within their sphere of influence with kindness, that's how we can restore light, love, unity, and peace.
100%.
That's how we can restore it.
It's the
And
only way we can heal
that's why
ourselves.
I'm a man on a mission to do that.
Oh, I'm right behind you on that mission. I really am.
Thank you.
It's if we want to change the world, and let's look at it, we're on a cycle of hate and war and hate and war and hate and war, which only shatters us. And will get to a point where we can't put those pieces back together. We have to step into love and kindness. And we have to start looking at each other as an asset to the world and not as some enemy. And that's the only thing that's going to heal us. Only thing.
Exactly. We have to be able to engender the same feeling that comes out after a natural disaster. Everybody comes
Yes.
together to
Yes.
help rebuild things. That needs to be a constant feeling,
Yes.
not just at those times. The feeling that comes out at the holidays,
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, whatever it is, we all, at that time of year, we all tend to want to give more, want
Yes.
to, that
Come
needs to
together
last.
more.
That
Yeah.
needs to last all year long. That's why I told my family this last Christmas, we're going to celebrate Christmas like every month of the
Mm-hmm.
year.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna keep that feeling in our home. We're gonna do, because that needs to stay around all the time. It shouldn't be just a one time a year thing. It should
No.
be a constant thing. And so that's what we
It's
need.
the village is only as strong as everybody's participation.
Yeah.
Whether you're in a global village or international village, who knows, who cares? The thing is your community is only as strong as your input. And if your input is one of kindness and caring and being there for each other, then you'll have a strong community. You'll have a
Yep.
strong village. We'll have a strong world. We've really
Yep.
got to stop putting this on everyone else. Remember the finger pointing, three pointing back at us?
Yeah.
What are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The
We
step into
can't.
kindness. That's a good first step.
Far too many people want to sit around and wait for the politicians to do it, and then
Oh
they're going to be
gosh.
waiting for a very, very
Oh,
long time.
hell will freeze over. Yes, exactly.
They're going to be, and really, if we're sitting there waiting for other people to do it, we're abdicating our responsibility.
And I'm sorry, you are here to go through life. You are here to experience the ups and the downs because you discover your courage, you discover your strength, you discover your abilities, you discover
Yeah.
your instrument, you discover your orchestra. And then when you get to that other side and you are now a participant, you are a giver.
Yeah.
You really understand what existence and life is all about. And it is awesome. So be prepared to go through life and go through it with kindness.
And that's why it's called the kindness givers formula.
Yes. Love the
Yeah.
formula. Love it. So then get the book from randymcneely.com.
Yep.
And
And
investors can find you there. And I think the TV show is a brilliant idea because it really does give us those. I watch them all the time. If I want to boost my, I'm feeling sad, I want to boost myself up, I watch all those rescues that go on Facebook.
yeah.
Or people
Yeah.
being kind to one another. And it
Yep.
warms my heart and it puts me back on track. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. A little
Yep.
heartwarming needs to go on. So kindness is the key to that. It turns your
Yep.
heat in the heart.
Yep. Yep. It does. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you so much. And to remember, everyone, go to the mirror right now and tell yourself that you really care about you, that you're really going to be kind to you. You're going to stop beating yourself up, stop second doubting yourself, and then turn that kindness onto someone else and see the effect it has. I promise you, it is addictive. And the more kindness that you give, the more love that you give other people, the more that will come back to you, and the more you will raise the vibration, and the more you will see the healing start. So until next time, folks, let kindness rule.
We
Bye
hope
for
that
now.
you enjoyed the show. To find many more shows of inspiration, please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com podcasts, and you will see an array of shows to choose from. Please do visit our www.discoveringcommunities.org and see what else that we have in store for you. Do enjoy our next show.